Hi there! Yesterday I tried to manage to create a slideshow in Adobe After Effects. I didn't do it that earlier, so I learned a lot and I want to share that with you. If you're not familiar with Adobe After Effects, if you start it you will see this screen. A little explanation about the UI. At the left you have the sequence, you have the asset window. It will show up compositions and their assets. A composition, you can see it as a kind of movie clip which can contain in a layered way audio files, movie files, just still images, what we're going to use today. So that's this part of the UI. This is the timeline window. It will show all layers on top of each other and the timeline, what's happening at which second. You can see it that way. Effects and controls, but we don't going to use it today, so I will not go into details here. And we have here this important window. It will show previews of our composition and of our different assets we use. So that's in short the UI of Adobe After Effects. It's an amazing tool to create anything you want. The first thing we have to do is to create a composition. Going to the composition menu and pressing new composition. Composition is some kind of movie clip, as you know, and as you can see it contains all properties related to a movie clip. First, adding a name, the slideshow composition. You can set the resolution. This is just HDTV, which is okay. The frame rate, it's around 30, which is okay for US, but also Europe you can use it. And important, 25 seconds long. We have 5 images, each will be shown 5 seconds in our slideshow, so our composition must be 25 seconds long. Pressing OK will show our composition within the asset window. Next we're going to add images. What I did, I downloaded some images from Pixabay, which is a website where you can download free images. There it is, and as you can see, all nice images here. We use that images for our slideshow. To import images, we go into File, Import, and then File again. And going to our slideshow images and selecting them, just 5 images here, import, and you can see those are added to the asset window. I take them directly and put it on the composition timeline. As you can see here, this is what our movie will be, our slideshow movie will be. And we can play it by pressing the preview play button. And you see the cursor is walking here. We are now around 4 seconds, 5, and our boo is still showing. This has everything to do with layering within the timeline. And what we have to do is we have to make every image exactly 5 seconds. And that's what we're going to do now by double clicking on it. And now you see our bool is shown with some specs over here. Moving the cursor to 5 seconds. It's not easy, so pressing the time will make it possible to change it exactly as you want. So we're putting in exactly 5 seconds. And pressing the end bracket here, the closing bracket, and as you can see in the timeline, the image is now 5 seconds long. Do this again for all other images by double clicking it and pressing the end bracket. Sorry, it's not happening here. I have to deselect all and select the next, pressing the right bracket, closing bracket, and do it again for all images. It's just that easy. So now going back to our composition, we'll show after 5 seconds a black screen, and that's because we have to move our images after each other. As you can see here, I do it roughly. and we will do it precisely right now by zooming in. Zoom in can do it in different ways. That's by moving this slider. So you will zoom in, you see it will change from seconds to frames. Frames is very fine-grained. And you can also doing it by pressing this mountain icon. And we are going to have a look. This way it's okay, because every image is just one frame too long, but that's just okay. They're overlapping and nobody will see. So we move them all in the right position, and this is the last one. So it's okay here. What you did right now is you created a slideshow. Have a look. Almost 5 seconds. Next image. I will change this one so we can see our cursor rolling. Okay, 5 seconds, and there's the last image. A nice slideshow. But it's not very exciting, and we want to give it more fun. And I'll just give you an example with the fruit bowl, how you can create a flying in photo image. So we're going to the fruit bowl. What we want to do is to have the fruit bowl flying over the bowl and replacing it. What we need to do first is to extend the bool image, because the bool image will be some kind of background for the fruit bowl at first. So we did that, and now what you now see is that the fruit bowl is even not visible anymore. What we have to do is to move the fruit bowl up within the layers, and then it will be visible again over the bowl. So we clicking on the fruit bowl, keep clicked and drag it up, and if you see a bigger fat black line, that's the position where the new layer will be placed. So this is now above the bowl. Okay, we have the bowl, we have the fruit bowl, and what we want to do is to have a fruit bowl flying in, fruit bowl images flying in, image flying in. So that's better. And we say, well, if we are around the 6 seconds, you can see the counter here, the time, then the fruit bowl must be full screen. So if you are familiar with Flash, you know what keyframes are. In a timeline you have keyframes, and keyframes are used to store property values of your assets. And what we have to do is we have to set our keyframe right here at 6 seconds for position, scale and rotation, because all of these 3 properties we will change. We will change them. So at 6 seconds this will be what we are going to see, and at 5 seconds we are going to start fiddling with our fruit bowl. What we're going to do is the first thing is to move it down. We want to have to fly it in. Well, we did a nice animation right now. If you take your cursor, you will see what happens. The fruit bowl is flying in. It's not really fun, but it's fun, and we can make it more fun by, for example, taking this one and changing the line. This is the direction of how the image will come flying in. Well, we did it this way. You see, yeah, it's going so. Well, that's nice. And now we want to add some rotation here. To putting your cursor right at the keyframe spot, you can use the arrows at the left of your layer, and each layer have those, and then if you press an arrow it will go to the first, or go to the previous or the next keyframe on your timeline. So we have it set to the first keyframe of the position. Now we're going to scale it. I will scale it a little bit smaller, and you have to press Shift to keep proportions. So it's now smaller, but the image should be moved a little more closer below the bool. So going back to position, and you have to be sure not select both the keyframes but only the first one, else both will move. And that's what I'm gonna do now. So the image is now nicely close to the bool, so it will not take a lot of time before it will appear. And now we're gonna change rotation too. And what I'm gonna do is to change the rotation by using the rotation tool at the top of the screen, pressing it and clicking on the image and rotating it in a nice way. And it must be out of the viewport, so I have to do a little modification to the position, changing to the cursor selection tool again and move it out of the viewport. Sorry, you see now I both selected the position keyframes and all will change, so that's not what we want. So I have to deselect all, select only the first keyframe and then move the image. And as you can see, it will be really funny flying in this way. You can do it by playing it. So that's it for now. With animating an image into your slideshow, we're going to do a lot more by adding audio, for example, and some text. So keep watching. What you also can do is to add some effects, and that's what you can do by selecting what property you want to change. For example, we want to change rotation, and then pressing the graph editor icon, and you see it's always a linear move, and that's what you're gonna what you can change here by pressing, for example, this one. You can say, well, the rotation must be fast at first sight and then going to be slower and slower, and then you see it's rotating fast, and now the rotation is a little bit slower. You can do it for all properties, so have fun with it. You can do a lot, therefore Adobe After Effects is a very nice tool. Okay, now we are going to add some audio to our slideshow. Going to File, Import File again, and I downloaded some non-copyright sounds, so it's able to be used for commercial use. So our slideshow will be can be used commercially for free without anybody having trouble with that. So I added it to the timeline, the audio. It's not important where it is, just an audio layer, so it's not visible at all. Let's have a here to it. Yes, I think it should start around 11 seconds, so we're going to change that by double clicking on the audio file. You can see it here, moving it to 11 seconds and doing it this way, and then clicking on the starting or opening bracket. Okay, going back to our slideshow composition, and yeah, it's starting at the right moment. Probably something a little bit earlier. That's no problem at all. We're going to change it to, for example, 10:15. And let's have here right now. Oh, sorry, going back to the composition. Yes, that's very nice. And it's a good advice to normally change the switching of the slides at the rhythm of the music. That will give it some extra fun to your slideshow. We don't gonna do that right now in this demo, but keep that in mind. What we have to do now is to fade out the music at the end of the movie, because the music is playing still any longer. You can do it with the audio levels property, as we shown with the fruit bowl image. You can change the properties of the audio too, and we're gonna do it at the 24th or 23rd second here, and we start recording properties by clicking on the little clock here and move the cursor, because a keyframe is created now, at the end, and create a keyframe with the sound very silent, minus 30 dBs. And if we listen to it, so it's better to fade out the image at the end too, so we have to change that too. It's just the same simple thing to do. What we're going to do is going to the same keyframe where the audio level is going to be less loud, and we are going to the opacity and turn on keyframing by pressing the little clock. It is 100% opacity right now, and we move it to the end of the movie and change it to 0. As you can see, the last image is fading out. Okay, we're almost ready with our slideshow. The only thing we have to do is to add some text at the beginning of the slideshow. That's also not very difficult to do. You press the horizontal type tool at the top of the screen, and it will show up here. We give it some text. After it's not visible, sorry for that. We have to move the layer of our text to the top. So now it's visible again. After Effects, Slideshow, Demo, and then we take the selection tool and move it to the center of our slideshow viewport. And now it's visible, but it's now visible for the whole movie, and that's not what we want, so we change the length by just dragging the end of the text. And we want to have it just coming in and going out like our audio and image at the end of the slideshow. So we have to change the opacity. Opacity will be 100 after 1 second, so we record a keyframe by clicking on the clock again. We have a keyframe here for opacity of 100, and going to the beginning of the movie and change the opacity to 0%. So the text is coming in, and now we record a new keyframe by pressing the keyframe button at the left of the layer, right here. So, and moving it out and changing the opacity to 0. And what you created right now is this. That's nice, isn't it? So, and if you like it to fading longer, you can change keyframe positions by just dragging them. And your movie is ready. If you're not familiar with Adobe After Effects, what to do now to create a real movie from it is just this simple. Going to the composition menu and then press add to render queue. What you will see is that your movie will be added to a queue, which can be started when you like. And you can also influence settings of creating movies. What Adobe After Effects do by default is create lossless video content. This means that it can be grow very large. If you have a video, HDTV video for 3 minutes, it can be still 20 gigs or something. So what you have to do afterwards is to use Adobe Media Encoder to compress it and use it for YouTube or something. You can also use other tools like DivX or something. So if I press render right now, it will be created, movie will be created from our slideshow, and you see how far it goes within the slideshow composition preview. This is just an easy task to do for Adobe After Effects, so it's very fast. But if you have more complicated projects, it can be slow and it can take time. So the rendering of the slideshow is finished, and this tutorial too. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. If you want, subscribe to my channel, and see you later maybe. Bye bye.